Hello, brothers and sisters. I just ran into this video of a Korean man who committed suicide after taking drugs, and he had the same similar experience I had of being drugged to hell. Now, me personally, when I was drugged to hell, I was living in a lot of sin, and I met Jesus on a cliff. It was like a canyon, and he said, "Give me your sword." I looked down, I was holding a broken, rusty sword, and he said, "Stick it into the mountain." So I stuck it into the mountain, and then back. I landed in a big fiery pit. It felt like I was, like he described, I was in an elevator and I was just falling down. I saw this little bright light get larger and I smacked down to the bottom, and there's this huge coliseum with tons of demons around and about 100 other people, and I had to fight to the death. I saw these tables with red cloths on them with weapons, and I was told, grab a weapon, and I grabbed these claws. Well, they attached into my hands, and I felt the slice of the blade that sliced through my muscle and everything, and the blades attached to my hands. I couldn't take them off, and we all had to fight one another to the death. I had to slash throats, debowel people. I felt every single slice and cut that I did to other people and them to me, and I was the last one left standing, and then I was told, everyone else is going to die in their sleep. You're the last one left standing. You won your right back to life. And then I was taken up to this podium. There's like this huge demon with bat wings, but he was covered in black flames like miasma. And then I was given a card, and then I was back in my body, and I woke up screaming, and my girlfriend was like, what? And I said, I met Jesus. I landed in hell. And even back then, it wasn't enough to wake me out of the demonic stupor I was in. It was me having that little seed of faith to start reading the Bible, because God put me in a situation into bankruptcy for all the evil that I had done. And so that was the real turning point in my life. And I decided I needed to get some, enlightenment. So I started reading the Bible, and half of it was blind. I couldn't even see it. And I started with Jesus' story, and then I read it. That night I had a dream of him picking me up and shaking the demons out of me. And then I went back to read the Bible the next day, and it didn't start with his story. It started with creation. But I couldn't see it beforehand. It's like the scales were taken off my eyes. I could see creation, and Jesus' story started halfway through, but I know I started on the first page. So here's this video of the Korean man, and I'll stop it halfway through, and I'll put the link down below so you can follow it.
That I'm living with my friends it was a dealer home. So we're having like huge JanSport bags of drugs going in and out. We're transporting it, we're carrying it, we're selling it. We're smoking it 3 times a day. Now, school reopens in the fall, and I'm trying to readjust to life, but I can't because I'm so drugged out. So another guy came and we smoked out again, but this is where it gets kind of crazy. But I smoked what's called a death bowl. A death bowl is the street name for heroin, cocaine, PCP. It looks like marijuana, but it's laced. So when I smoked this drug, I stayed up for 10 straight days. After the 3rd day of staying up, you lose sight of date, time, who you are, why you're alive. On the last day, I actually had an encounter with, I believe it's Satan now, but he came to me in an open eye vision. He just looked like an Asian grandpa and said, "I know you're having a hard time." And I said, "Yeah, I thought it was my Buddhist God." So when he came to me, he said, "It's time for you to take your own life, cut your neck, cut your stomach, and I'll spare you from hell." And I didn't know Jesus back then, so that's exactly what I did. I went to the kitchen with my mom in the house, and I grabbed the biggest knife I could find, and I cut my neck open and also my stomach open, and I lost 90% of my blood. My mom walks into the living room and she sees her son almost dying. She calls 911, and the cops come over to try to get the knife away from me, and they came in within like 1 minute, right? I was wrestling with them. They took the knife away. They maced me, whacked me with the bat, and we're struggling, and that's when I fainted after being whacked by the bat. And pretty soon I'm going in and out, and I'm in the hospital. And at the hospital, that's when I had the OBE. I literally, lost consciousness before the surgery. And I see myself, but I'm not going to heaven like the false god Satan coming as an old grandpa said. I'm sinking, and it feels like an elevator just falling down. And after 5 minutes of just this horrific feeling of being abandoned and fear multiplied by 100 by anything you can feel on earth, I land And I look around and it's hell. How do I know it's hell? Because first of all, I never had this thought before, but when I got there during this out-of-body experience, I look around and there was just so many countless people. I wasn't the only one there. Demons are sealing. I had this thought before, but when I got there during this out-of-body experience, I look around and there was just so many countless people. I wasn't the only one there. Demons are ceiling high, they're everywhere. I feel pain and I knew I was a sinner and I will never leave this place. I don't know where the idea came from. I just supernaturally knew, instinctively knew. And that's when I realized like I made a big mistake. I woke up the next day and they told me I was out for 12 hours, but it was a 5-minute visit to hell. And I knew I didn't want to be there because it's like hopelessness, despair, loneliness, pain. When I came out of it, I was like, just very traumatized for the next 3 months. That's how painful it was. Jesus talks about a place of torment where there is no quenching of fire and there's no stopping of the gnashing of teeth. And I did feel heat, I did feel darkness, I felt hopelessness. That's how I knew it was biblically valid. It was exactly what he said. When I opened my eyes, I was surrounded by pastors like, "You want to say the sinner's prayer?" I was like, "Yes, I do." I was so relieved and scared of hell and relieved of being alive at the same time that I think I said the sinner's prayer about 10 times. Yeah, so the Lord allowed me in His grace and love and mercy to see hell, just like it is in the Bible. And then 6 months later, or rather more like 7 months later, in the summer of 1999, I was in Korea now. Now for 6 months, I was just resting at the prayer mountain. I tried to go back to school, but I couldn't really be physically all there. So I ended up just kind of leaving school. I'm resting. I'm trying to become a Christian, right? But at the same time, I'm still partying with my non-Christian friends. Heard what happened. They still kept coming. So I still went drinking after this happened. I was like, "Lord, I heard this mercy and forgiveness. Let me have one last shot," right? It ended up causing me to party like every day. But in the midst of this partying in the summer, the Lord allowed me to have a car accident, which really struck fear in me. And at the same time, He gave me a dream. Like, I didn't even ask for this dream. I was on the top of a mountain, the dream very vivid. And I heard the voice of God. And I've never heard audibly this clearly. And God speaks to me in Bible verses and He said, "Jesus is my beloved Son in whom I'm well pleased. Listen to Him, listen to Him, listen to Him." And I was like, "Oh my God, did I just hear God?" And I saw this triangular light like rotating in the dream, and I'm on the top of a mountain and I see this huge beautiful valley with a river and mountains on both sides. And just like it says in Revelation 21 verse 2, it says, "I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride, beautifully dressed for her husband." It was literally a transparent pyramid triangular city. I think it was the New Jerusalem. And it came down and there were angels on both sides just flying with trumpets that were so long, and they're worshiping God. And I knew it was not human voice because it was just so holy and perfect and majestic and beautiful. At that moment, compared to seeing hell, and compare that hopelessness times 100, which of anything on earth, pain-wise, and seeing heaven where the peace and the joy and the comfort you feel of having Father right next to you, like tangibly, visibly with you, is incomparable. And I knew that God was showing me heaven because He wants all of humanity there. He wants every single soul there. The defining moment for heaven and hell, seeing heaven and hell and coming to a point of realization and resolution.
All right, amen. God bless and take care.